Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I am finally getting around to doing part 2 of my historical fiction recommendations. So I did, on a whim pretty much, a video about five-star historical fiction recommendations, and that video is my most popular video on my channel. It went somewhat viral, to which I don't really understand. There's lots of great people who talk about historical fiction on booktube, but anyways, I thought, well, since people liked the series, the idea of doing recommendation videos, looking at 5 with my 3 prompt words, I would continue. So I've done historical fiction, literary fiction. What else have I done? Quite a few. I can put them down below, and I'm sort of circling back and starting round 2. So yeah, without any more waffling on, here are 5 more 5-star historical fiction recommendations from me to you. So the first book is The Bonesetter's Daughter by Amy Tan. Amy Tan is also the author of the Joy Luck Club. She is a very well-known author, and for good reasons. So I read the Bonesetter's Daughter either this year or last year, and I listened to it on audiobook, which was fantastic because the performers that they got to do the narration, it wasn't just one person reading it, it was almost as like an audio play, and I thought that worked really well for this type of book. So The Bonesetter's Daughter is historical fiction. It is dual timeline. The present is set in the 1980s or the 1990s, contemporary to when Amy Tan wrote the book, and it's based in San Francisco. And then you go back in time to China to explore the mother's experience. So we are looking at Ruth and her mother, Lu Ling. They live in San Francisco. Lu Ling is having some health problems. She's becoming quite forgetful, and Ruth is increasingly becoming her caregiver. They've always had a tumultuous relationship, mother-daughter relationship, and the book is very much about that. It's looking at, in the present, why is their relationship so complicated, and then going back into the past to understand how Lu Ling's experiences in China have formed her views on the world in the present. And yeah, as I mentioned, it's very much about a mother-daughter relationship. It's such a journey of a book that it's hard to remember all of the specific details of this book. I know that there is some mystery around Lu Ling's past in terms of her origins, hence the title Bonesetter's Daughter. There's something to do with sort of a family curse, but all of that is somewhat irrelevant to my experience in terms of enjoying the book and recommending it to you. So the 3 words that I have for The Bonesetter's Daughter are relationships. So if you are somebody who enjoys reading historical fiction about relationships and multi-generational family sagas, then this would be a great book to check out if you haven't already read it. Secondly, I describe it as heartbreaking. This is quite multifaceted, so heartbreaking in the sense of their current circumstances and Lu Ling's failing health, heartbreaking in terms of their difficult relationship, heartbreaking in terms of Lu Ling's past experience in China. And the book is also reflective, so it's a slow-paced book. It's reflecting on their present circumstances, Lu Ling's past in China, and reflective of a multi-generational immigrant experience, and also reflective of the role of women in China when Lu Ling was growing up, and the role of mothers and daughters within their culture in the present day in San Francisco. So yes, Bonesetter's Daughter, obviously a 5-star read for me, and if you haven't read it, then I would very much recommend it to you. The second book, which is very popular, so I feel like I don't need to go into it in too much detail, but this is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. I jumped on the Claire Keegan train, I think it was last year, and I've read quite a few of her books. I've had mixed success with her short story collections, but Small Things Like These is popular for a reason. It is a small but mighty book covering a really difficult topic in such a sophisticated way. So Small Things Like These is set in the 1980s. Are we classifying the 80s as historical fiction, guys? I mean, I was born in the 80s. That just makes me feel really old. But yeah, for the purposes of this video, let's call the 1980s historical. And the book centers on the life of Bill Furlong. Bill is a coal seller. So at this time there wasn't central heating. So yeah, Bill's very busy. It's the lead up to Christmas, and he is doing lots of deliveries of coal, and he ends up going to deliver a shipment of coal to the local convent. And from there, things start to unravel, and Bill is faced with a very difficult decision about what his responsibility is and how that's going to impact on him as a member of a very tight-knit religious community. And so this book is, firstly, it's disturbing. It's, based on real events in Irish history. Did I say this is set in Ireland? It's set in Ireland, with a Catholic convent. And yeah, so, we're looking at aspects of abuse within the Catholic Church, specifically towards unwed mothers. So yes, it is disturbing in that sense. I would say there's a lot of elements of bravery in this book, both on from the perspective of Bill and the decisions he has to make, and the young woman who he interacts with. And then thirdly, I'd say that this book is confrontational. Although it is fiction, it's based on true events, and it makes the reader confront the realities of a part of Irish history, and not just Irish history. These things happen across the world, and to some extent still do today. So yes, confrontational. But yes, things like these. It's got a beautiful cover. I'm sure I'll have the image on the screen. And it's set at Christmas time. Do not be fooled into thinking that this is a cheerful book that you should be reading at Christmas. That is not the case. It is a very hard-hitting book. So perhaps not like gifting it as a festive season read. Don't do that. So that's Small Things Like These. The third book that I'd like to recommend to you, and I have recommended it on my channel before, is The Glassmaker by Tracy Chevalier. Some people have a love-hate relationship with Tracy Chevalier, but I feel like she's an easy read in the sense that none of her books come across as too problematic, and they're always fairly well researched. I listened to The Glassmaker as an audiobook, and I found that quite helpful. And actually, I should preface by saying that all of these books work well as audiobooks, and that adds to the reading experience. So in a way, they deserve an extra bonus point for being translated well into audio. But yes, The Glassmaker is set in Venice, and it begins in the Golden Age, so in the 1480s. Okay, where was I? I just had to pause because the doorbell went. So yes, I was talking about The Glassmaker by Tracy Chevalier, set initially in Venice in the late 1400s. And this story centers around Orsolò Rosso, on the island of Murano, which is the glass making island, glass blowing island near Venice. And Ursula is one of the first women to set out to do glass blowing. So up until that point, it was a male-driven industry, and so she starts to do glass blowing in secret. And then you sort of span the centuries. So that's where the sort of magical realism comes into this book, is that you follow Ursula Rosso's life and her family's life through the decades, all the way up until 2020, I think. And it looks how Venice evolves, and how the glass-blowing industry, glass-making industry evolves as well, from a one family perspective. I thought that this book was empowering, since it was centered on a female protagonist going into an industry and being a trailblazer, and how Ursula tries very hard to do what's best for her family. I thought it was rich. It had a very dreamlike quality to it. There was a lot of detail, rich in terms of sort of the beauty of the details about the glass blowing. Yeah, just a very sort of dynamic book in that sense. And that's slightly differently is informative. It's like it was rich in detail, but it was also, it really taught me a lot about the glassblowing industry. I have been to Venice and I have seen the glass blowing. That's obviously geared towards tourists. And so it was really cool to sort of step back in time and, through fiction, look at how this industry came to be. So yeah, that was The Glassmaker. Really cool book. Enjoyed it immensely on audio. It was a bit of a long book, but what I liked about the audio is that there were lots of words that I in Italian that I would have struggled to pronounce while I was reading it in a sort of inner monologue. And I think they would have made me stumble a little bit as I was reading. So it was nice to have somebody with an Italian accent doing fantastic narration for me. So it was an enjoyable experience. All right, the next book is Savage Beasts. This is by Rani Selvarajah, and I just finished this book, and that, sometimes you could think that somebody might be quick to think, oh yes, this is one of the best books I've ever read because I just finished it, it's in my mind. No, I think this book's going to be up there with one of my favorite reads for this year, and I have no hesitation about about including it on one of these lists for you. So Savage Beasts is a Medea retelling. I have not read the Greek myth of Medea before. I had to look it up on Wikipedia. I do think it's worth doing so, just having a vague understanding of Medea, who was very into botanicals. So obviously that's an interest of mine. And she falls in love with Jason, like the golden fleeces, and is then wronged by Jason and seeks her revenge. So yes, we're doing a Medea retelling, and this is set in the 1750s in Calcutta. So we've got the British trying to invade with the East India Company, just the start of the colonialism in India. And we follow the life of Mina, who is a princess, and her father, who is quite abusive towards her. Her father's kingdom is under threat by the East India Company. We then have James Chilcot, who is meant to be Jason in this retelling. He is a member of the East India Company, and him and Mina fall in love. And then they go on all of their adventures, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I enjoyed going into it not knowing much, but as you might guess, Mina ends up seeking her revenge, like Medea did. So this book was adventurous. I should say I listened to it on audiobook, and again, much like The Glassmaker, I thought the audiobook really helped me enjoy the experience. So yes, this book was adventurous. I felt, because I didn't know the story very well, I was sort of on the edge of my seat, as it were, like, oh, what's going to happen next? And it goes all over the world, this story. So I was never left sort of bored by the setting, as it were. It's definitely feminist, and I really liked that how Mina was presented as a strong female character. I thought, from the little I do know about the Medea myth, I thought that, is it Medea or Medea? Medea. I thought that Mina did that Greek character justice in her retelling portrayal. And then I felt transported. So I really felt like I was there with Mina and James on their adventures. I really empathized with Mina and her situation, and all the abuse that she was suffering, and the difficulties that she had to make. I just felt like I was right there alongside her, and that doesn't happen very often with books, for me these days. So that's why Savage Beasts is up there with a highly recommended historical fiction book. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this book, so if you haven't read Savage Beasts, I really do recommend it, and I recommend the audiobook. Okay, last but not least is The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey. I listened to this on audiobook either last year or the year before. And again, I keep repeating myself, but it is definitely a book that works very well in audio format, because the two people who play the main characters have beautiful accents, and they just add this like rich dynamic quality to the audiobook as like a performance rather than just somebody reading it to you. So this is about a mermaid. So it's Akaya is the name of the woman who is turned into a mermaid. She's from a long time ago. She was cursed by some women in her village, and it was destined to remain a mermaid. She's then discovered by David, who's fishing, and some American fishermen are threatening Akaya to basically capture her and make her a freak show, I guess. And so this story is about Akaya and having to navigate being a mermaid, becoming a woman in a different time. And it's also a love story. So the descriptors for this is mythical. It's a very mythical, sort of folkloric tale. Even though it's set in the 1970s, there are aspects of it that go back to, I don't even know if you know the time period where, my voice is going, where Akaya is from originally, but days of yore, let's say. So it does have that mythical quality to it. The way that Akaya is described as a mermaid is very cool, very mythical, not your standard Disney Little Mermaid whatsoever. It's very much a survival. So my second word would be the survivalist. You know, Akaya really needs to survive as a mermaid, and then throughout time, and then it is an aspect of survival for her when she's being threatened by capture by the American fishermen. And then my third descriptor is just love. It's all about David and Akaya falling in love, how they navigate their love, and how that endures as them being from two different places in time, really. Great book. I think I'd like to listen to that one again at some point, because I'm sure listening to it a second time around would really add to my experience, and I'd probably pick up on some aspects that I missed the first time around. So those are my 5 new historical fiction recommendations for you. We've got The Bonesetter's Daughter by Amy Tan, Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, The Glassmaker by Tracy Chevalier, Savage Beasts by Rani Selvarajah, and The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey. All great historical works, historical fiction works. If you haven't seen my first video, I will include a link to that below in the description, along with some of my 5-star videos in other genres, in case you're wanting to check those out as well. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If any of these books are of interest to you, then I encourage you to put them on your TBR. And if you do read them and you are a booktuber, please tag me if you do a review on them so that I can know what you think as well. But yeah, that just leaves me to say that I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading, maybe historical fiction, and I'll see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.